Hi, welcome to Culture Shout. If you're a follower, you probably noticed that we missed this last week. And the reason for it very simply is that on the Sunday preceding it, my 4-year-old decided while she was watching The Lion King on my laptop that she wanted to get the lions out, and so she smashed the screen with a club. The good news is it didn't work, so we didn't have lions in our bedroom. The bad news is my laptop was destroyed and it took 2 days to get that out, by which stage it was kind of early into the week, and I just figured we'd probably just skip it rather than have one out of sequence. And it's a pity because that would have been the one to follow up the 3-day field trip which took place on the 4th, 5th and 6th of September. I want to do that now, even though it's a little bit out of sequence, because there were such great lessons to learn there, and I really want to share these with you. We were fortunate to share time with I think it was something like 20 people who joined the field trip from a variety of great South African organizations, and we went out to see 7 companies who taught us something new in every single one of them, and I want to share some of those lessons with you now. The first company we went to go and see was King Price Insurance. They're quite a regular one on our 3-day field trips because they're fascinating. I mean, the amount of artifactual thought that's gone into what they've done, the amount of the color and the noise and the vibrancy and the energy and the layout of the building, all of that kind of stuff, the imagery, the iconography, all of that stuff, really well thought out, considering what it is that they want to achieve. But you know, through it all, as much as you can walk in there and feel slightly intimidated by all of this grandness. I mean, it's really colorful, and a lot of thought has gone into it. They still have this one fundamental philosophy which permeates the organization, which is just be nice. As Manu Bossoff, who's their culture evangelist, put it, if you're nice, life removes its obstacles from your way. And I think that's something that we forget, that you know, we go out of our way trying to do grand things, but sometimes just being nice to each other is one of the hallmarks of a great organizational culture. From there we went on to Anglo-American Platinum, and I can't tell you how impressed we all were with that. I mean, I remember years ago when I first started researching culture in South African organizations, it was around the time of there being quite a lot of troubles in the mining industry, 2011, 2012, 2013, and none of the mining companies were much interested in speaking about culture. And so to find one that's actually gone and done the amount of work that they have done at Anglo-American Platinum in trying to create an organization of significance for their people is amazing. And they had 3 fundamental things to their culture. They said that culture has to be intentional, that culture is a contact sport. I love that part. And that culture has to be led from the top. Now, contact sport, that's a really big thing. You know, those of you who are followers will know that I have a sort of allergy to technology as a means of driving culture, as a means of driving engagement. I'm not a big fan of apps or any of those sorts of things. I think face-to-face stuff is what we're missing, and the more we add that, the stronger, the deeper cultural links we might be able to build. And it was nice to see Anglo-American Platinum sort of waving the same flag, saying the same things. They really seem to be doing a great job there, and we were all super impressed with them. From there we went on to Cerebra, and I want to pay special tribute to Mike Stopforth at Cerebra. We had another organization lined up to take that first spot on day 2. They unfortunately had to pull out. They're an organization we love, and we hope to have them back at some point. But so I asked Mike, I mean, Cerebra was one of those companies we always thought we had to go and visit. I asked Mike if we could do that, and he said yes. It was a spur of the moment thing. I'm incredibly grateful to him, and I have to say, I'm glad we went. He was one of the biggest hits of the trip. Not just him, but his organization. Mike's a super smart guy. The company is a super authentic organization. It's done very well. It's not surprising. The big tip from him, very simply though, if I had to come up with one pithy soundbite from a very insightful session with him, he was talking about toxic people can kill people. What did he say? He said, toxic people can kill culture very slowly. Or, he didn't say very slowly, he said toxic people kill culture slowly, whereas toxic leaders can kill culture overnight. And it was a really big thing, that, I think, and that was something that I saw everybody scribbling down. Because ultimately, when it comes down to it, great cultures are led by great leaders, and great cultures can be killed by bad leaders as well. And that's something that we really need to acknowledge: the importance of leadership in driving culture and doing something worthwhile in getting people on board and keeping that authentic and keeping it real and keeping it consistent over the long term cannot be overstated. And I think sometimes we forget all of that. From there, we went on to We Buy Cars, another favorite organization of mine, started by just 2 of the most honest guys I know, just really super guys, super management team over there as well. And just looking at some of the ways in which they're trying to reshape the relationship organizations have with their salespeople. One of the things that I thought was really great about it, they've got this process, or this idea, where they pay commissions out in thirds. So if you earn your monthly commission this month, you get it paid a third this month, a third the month after, a third the month after that. That sounds like it's a process-heavy thing, but if anybody's run it, any viewers have run teams of salespeople, you'll know the importance of just helping them to structure finances in a sensible way. And I love the fact that they've taken that on board and looked at that. That's really a kind of understanding their staff needs and their staff requirements, and making sure that they can create something that is a win for everybody in that. So I loved that, and they're looking so good lately. I mean, that organization is growing very, very quickly. From there, it was Comair, once again, another staple on our 3-day field trips. We love Eric Fenter, the CEO of Comair. We love the organization he runs. It's a smart, insightful organization. Those of you who have flown Kalula.com or British Airways, the two airlines operating under Comair, you may be surprised to find that there aren't two different sets of staff, even though the feeling on board those aircraft, on board those airlines is very different. British Airways being very sort of British, I suppose, and Kalula being fun and light-hearted and so on. In fact, though, the actual artifact, the final 10 seconds of service is very different. The way in which they may speak and address customers, the way in which they deliver service, but the fundamentals of that organization are exactly the same, no matter where you are. They're very keen on. They're in fact very keen on. They insist on what did Eric say? He said the three big things are safety, efficiency, and service. Those are three things they insist that they want those to be the things that just happen no matter what, and that happen naturally. And it doesn't matter whether you're flying British Airways or Kalula to get those things right. So again, a great insightful session there. Last two, on the final day, we went to McDonald's, and McDonald's blew us away. I think anybody who has any doubts about the veracity of their claims that they use real beef and that their food is fresh and all of this kind of stuff, we go and spend time there. It is incredible to actually see. You know they've got a lot of processes, you know they've got a lot of procedures, you know they've got a lot of policies, you know they've got some science behind it. But just going to spend time inside a live McDonald's kitchen is like a 10x experience. It's amazing to actually see. I mean, and then just a sort of an indication of the spirit of the organization. We were very lucky to have Greg Solomon, the South African CEO, take us through the morning session. It turns out Greg had flown up from Durban that morning just to spend an hour with us, just to address us. That's how important he thinks culture is, and so we were really super grateful for that. His sort of the big bombshell he dropped that we thought was all very interesting was he was talking about South African talent is world class, but South African leadership is not, and that's the one thing that we absolutely need to work on. Oh, that sounded loud. If culture is going to be driven by great leadership, then that's something we need to be working on. I mean, and it's clear that there's an area in which in South Africa we're falling down. So I think there's something there. And our final stop was Missing Link. Again, a staple, a company we absolutely love. Missing Link is like nothing on earth. There is nowhere like Missing Link anywhere on the planet, I don't think. And I've actually shared an extra thing inside this newsletter, which is their 9 things. So one of the things that we focus on quite a lot is on core values and which organizations have great core values. Missing Link's gone through a revision of of late. They don't call them their core values because they're Missing Link and they don't speak that way. They call them their 9 things. In other words, did you do that thing? Did you do the thing? Did you remember to do the thing? That's the kind of conversation they have. And I've shared those further into this copy of Culture Shot, this edition, so you'll see the link to that. Have a click on it, have a read. You'll find it very interesting, I think. So those are the big hits from the 3-day field trip last week or the week before. Sorry that this was late once again, but hope it was worthwhile staying in touch for, and you have a great week.